Today's video is a sad one, and I want to talk about children because oftentimes we see some of these Sov Cit videos and there are kids in the back seat. What are these kids being taught when they're at home? I know my parents were hardcore Democrats when I was growing up, so I learned a lot about the Democrat Party as a young man, as a child growing up, because my parents were very into that. That was their thing. I didn't grow up becoming a Democrat, so despite their teachings, but some kids do. They take up with their parents' teachings. Now, what happens when a parent is one of these Sov Cids? Now, this all takes place in Farmington, Utah. Now, I've heard of Farmington, New Mexico. I don't know about Farmington, Utah, but evidently there is a Farmington, Utah. But she gets pulled over in October of 2021 for driving without plates and refusing to identify and all that, not answer questions, you know, the whole script. But she finally does provide a passport, but as an ID, but a passport is not a driver's license, so it is a way to identify. So some of these sovereign citizens will use a passport to identify themselves because they're American nationals. They live in America, they're American, but they're not part of the American government. Only when the laws suit them, as you will see. She has a son named Chase Allen who's in his 20s. And she went to court with her son. But first she got a ticket for driving without proper driver's license and registration, and she filed a rejection revision of the ticket as you were, and that got rejected. So she moved up to a higher court. All in all, she ended up in federal court. First, she filed for a dismissal, and that didn't go. So she files for deprivation of constitutional rights and demanded a jury trial, using her son Chase Allen as her lawyer. And the judge argued that he needs to go back and sit in the gallery because he's not didn't pass the bar exam or whatever. Is not an official lawyer. And she explained that he has years of experience studying constitutional law. Well, constitutional law, as the sovereign citizen gurus who put out these seminars and you pay for them and whatever. His son went through the online sovereign citizen law course, which we all know is a way to cherry pick the law and try to apply laws that you want, but then the rest of the laws don't apply to you because you're not a U.S. citizen, you're an American national. And the son states that he studied the law and understands the law, and I'm sure the son's a bright son, but he's been very misguided growing up in this sovereign citizen home with this ridiculous mother, one of them crazy Sov Cids, and her son's now a crazy Sov Cit himself in his early 20s. Let's go over some of this court document that she filed. So she listed her name, Diane Allen Hansen, as the plaintiff, and then instead of versus the state of Utah, she lists the officers, court clerks, and anybody else who made her butt hurt, basically. And so, including the police officer and the judges who rejected her earlier cases. Claims here being one of the sovereign people of Utah and claiming to be a citizen of the United States. It's funny how they can be a citizen of the United States when it suits them, and they're not a citizen of the United States when it doesn't. She says she's not a member of the B.A.R. That's not what it is. It's Bar Association, not B, you know. Anyway, and says she's not a member of that. I don't know. You're not a member unless you're a lawyer, and you'll find out her son's not a member either. Here she's claiming to be under the rights of the United States Constitution and the Utah Constitution, but as we know, only when it suits her. This is some of the rhetoric of the sovereign citizens, where they'll claim that the emergency lights is a felony and all that, and that she was forced off the road, which is not true. The cops used their lights and she was pulled over So she's basically lying, claims her liberties are violated. But, you know, using the emergency lights, the cops pull you over. That's how they communicate to you. Lights are a communication device to let you know that they want you to pull over. This is not a felony. When I was a tow truck driver, I used to use my lights all the time. Here she's talking about the right to travel, but she, you know, that's we know about that. And going on how she doesn't need a driver's license to drive. Why, you know, and explain that she's not a member of the city or the police department, so she's not in contract with the police, I guess, and they can't give her a ticket because she's not part of the police department. If that is not a ridiculous argument, I don't know what is. One of the plaintiffs is the police officer who pulled her over, and she's claiming the police officer threatened her and created an act of war against her. You know, if that's not crazy, I don't know what is. I think she's complaining here about the earlier dismissals of her first paperwork she filed, and then, you know, as Exhibit F or 5 or something. I can't see it. She's claiming Officer Johnson didn't provide facts and findings that she broke constitutional law or something. The fact is, she was driving without with expired plates, and she didn't have a driver's license. That's an infraction. That's already been determined. To say that they didn't have any facts, or the fact is you don't have a driver's license. The fact is you don't have your car registered. You probably don't have insurance either. Something about her claiming lawful evidence. Lawful evidence. I know that one of the things she cited was a Colorado law. That she's in Utah, so how does that even work in Utah? Even though the state's next door to it, doesn't really matter. She just, or they just cherry pick the law. That's what they do. That's how the sovereign citizens, they pick and choose the laws they want to apply to them, and reject the laws because they're not a U.S. citizen. They're a American national. That's their claim. It's really a word salad. They twist things around. It never works out for them in court. She obviously lost her court date. She basically just wasted the court taxpayers' time with their court, but that is her right. You have a right to file, you know, if you feel you're wronged, although she wasn't wronged. And her son continues on life doing the same thing. Now, this was I'm not sure when this court was. She got pulled over in October, so the court was probably a couple months, probably December. And so we come up to March 1st of 2021. Her son is pulled over for the same thing that she did. And I'm going to show a little video and then explain what happened. I'm not going to interrupt this video because it's not a very long video.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm Officer Farmington Police. The reason for the stop today is there's no registration on your vehicle.
I don't need registration and I don't answer questions.
Alrighty. Davis, Fox 21. Can you have a couple more heading my way? Is this back window roll down?
Why do you need to know that?
I just want to make sure that you're the only one in the vehicle. So here's the deal, man. I'm stopping you because there's no registration on your vehicle, and I'm requesting your identification. Okay? You are detained at this time, and you are not free to leave. Are you going to provide me your identification?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, so I'm going to take that as a no, that you're not going to provide me your identification. Is that the route we're going? Or would you like to provide your identification to me, and we can have a conversation, we can discuss the laws that you're breaking, and then we can go from there?
If you want my identification, you will be under duress and you accept surety and trusteeship over it. Meaning you will be responsible for any debts that you're trying to incur here.
Okay, so I'm not trying to incur any debts or anything. I'm trying to investigate why your vehicle doesn't have any registration.
1692, you are trying to incur a debt and legal action for something
Okay.
that's not allowed.
Okay.
And under
So,
18, Section 45, traveling is a federally protected activity. Which
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And what I'm telling you is that you do not have an option to identify yourself.
I do.
You are lawfully required to identify yourself. So you can provide you can provide your identification to me and we can have a conversation about the laws that you've broken, or you can fail to identify to me and we can go that route too. I'm perfectly okay with either way you want to go, but the direction that this encounter goes is 100% in your hands.
Sir, Utah Code, United States Code,
Okay?
is a corporate policy
Okay?
in which you have to be contracted and to be required to follow it. Unless
Okay.
you can provide me a contract with my wet ink signature on it saying that I'm required to follow it,
Okay?
then there's
So do you
nothing
want
I'm
to
obligated
do you want to identify yourself to me, or do you want to go a different route? Wonderful. Do you have a driver license as well?
I am not giving you jurisdiction.
Okay.
Do not
Head.
stop. Do not detain. You are not allowed to stop me.
Let me see that.
On your list.
I didn't see what you just tried to show me. Can you show that to me again? What's this?
This is a passport. It says, do not stay up, do not detain. If you go on the first page,
Okay.
it says, the United States hereby requests all who may it concern
Okay.
to permit the citizens
Here's what I'm telling you.
of the United States named herein
Here's what I'm telling you.
without delay or hindrance.
Okay.
You are
Will you hand
required-
that to me so I can read it? You want me to look at it through this tiny crack in your window?
I'm handing it to you.
You're not going to hand it to me?
If I hand this to you, you accept trusteeship and surety, and you are obligated.
Sure, I'll accept trustingship if you just hand me the document so I can identify who you are, because you're required by state law.
I am not.
Thank you
required-
so much, Mr. Chase Allen.
That is not me. That is a piece of plastic paper.
So you have a fraudulent passport?
No. that is a piece
Wonderful.
of paper.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay, step out of the car for me.
No.
Sir, step out of the vehicle
No.
right now.
I am not required to.
Step
If
out
you
of this
try and
vehicle
force
right
me,
now.
then we're going to have an issue where you're
Step
gonna have
out of the
someone
car
say
right now.
no.
Step out of the car. We're going to break the window and pull you out. Step out of the car.
Gun, 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 gun!
The body cam footage suddenly ends there when they say gun, gun, gun. What happened next was he reached for his gun in the car, and I guess he had it on his side or something, and the police officer shot him. He ended up dying. He was shot multiple times. It's tragic. It shouldn't have happened. You can figure out who's to blame. That he was in his 20s. He's old enough to know better, but he was taught inappropriately. He was taught to fear the cops, to fear the government, and I'm not a fan of the government. Okay, I'll tell you that right off the bat. I'm not one of these blindly accept the government of everything and the government's answer to all the problems. I'm definitely conservative, a libertarian, but this is ridiculous. If you just do what the officer asks you to do and go about your day, get plates on your car, that benefits you too. The registration of a car helps the police to identify it when it's stolen, and other things. It also assures that you pay taxes for the roads, and other things like that. These sovereign citizens don't pay taxes. Okay, that's another issue that they do. They do whatever they can to not pay taxes because they're American nationals or not U.S. citizens when it comes to taxes. But this kid died, and I blame his mother for a large part of it. She does not 100%, maybe 50-50, maybe 40-60. You can figure it on your own. But had this kid grown up in a normal household, would he have died this tragic way? I don't think so. Anyway, this was not a funny or a fun videos like some of the others, but this is the danger of the sovereign citizen teachings.